Ethan sat in the quiet corner of the medical bay, checking the scanners for the third time that hour. Life aboard the joint starship was not always exciting for a medic. Most days were spent tending to small injuries, routine checkups, and the occasional accident when a crew member forgot how low gravity worked in certain halls. Ethan was used to it. He was young, patient, and trained to keep calm even in unusual situations. That calm was tested when the door slid open and Commander Lyra entered. Her presence always filled a room. She was tall, with sharp features that were not quite human, and her armor carried marks from many battles. The air itself seemed heavier when she walked in. Ethan quickly stood up, his heart racing. He had never spoken to her alone before. "Medic Ethan," she said, her voice steady and commanding. "I require your service." At once, Ethan nodded, unsure what this meant. Usually, Lyra kept her distance from human crew members, speaking only to the captains or officers. He swallowed hard. "Of course, Commander. What do you need?" Lyra stepped closer, her piercing silver eyes fixed on him. "You will examine my body." For a moment, Ethan thought he had misheard. His mind scrambled to make sense of the words. Examine her body? She was the most respected warrior among the Arathi, and the thought of such a request seemed impossible. Yet her tone was serious, leaving no space for misunderstanding. I am not sure I understand," Ethan said carefully. "You understand enough," she replied. "During the last battle, I sustained injuries. My healers cannot be trusted with this matter. They would see weakness where there is none. You are human. You are outside their circle." "You will do it," Ethan hesitated. It was not the examination itself that frightened him, but the responsibility. If he made a mistake, if he offended her, the result could be dangerous for him and maybe even for the whole crew. Still, he saw no way to refuse. She had chosen him for a reason. "I will do as you ask, Commander," Ethan finally said. Lyra gave a small nod, the closest thing to approval he had ever seen from her. "Prepare your station. I will return shortly." With that, she left as quickly as she had entered, leaving Ethan standing in silence. He exhaled, trying to steady his nerves. What had just happened? The alien commander had demanded he examine her personally. The weight of her trust, or was it a command without trust? Pressed heavily on his shoulders, Ethan moved around the medical bay, setting up scanners, preparing instruments, and making sure everything was clean. His hands trembled slightly as he worked. This was no ordinary patient. This was Lyra. When the door opened again, she returned without her helmet. Her dark hair was braided back, and for the first time Ethan noticed faint lines across her temple, marks that glowed faintly when the light caught them. She had shed parts of her armor, carrying only the chest piece and arm guards. Ethan's breath caught in his throat. She was powerful, but beneath the armor she was also vulnerable. He quickly looked away, focusing on his tools. "Sit here, Commander," he said, trying to sound professional. She sat on the edge of the bed, her posture straight. "Do not waste time." Ethan picked up the scanner and began. The device hummed softly as he passed it over her body. At first everything looked normal, but then he saw something unusual. Energy spikes running along her nervous system. The readings jumped unpredictably, unlike anything he had seen in human patients. "Strange," Ethan muttered. Lyra raised an eyebrow. "Explain." "There are fluctuations in your energy channels. I don't know if your people have a word for it, but in humans it would be like your nerves are overloaded." Lyra's lips tightened. "I suspected as much. The weapon that struck me was not meant for ordinary wounds. It burns inside where no blade can reach." Ethan frowned. "If that's the case, then this is serious. But why not trust your own healers?" "Because they would see weakness," she said sharply. Then her voice softened, only slightly. "In my world, weakness means death. They would challenge me, take my place, and all I have fought for would vanish. I cannot allow it." Ethan met her gaze. He saw pride, strength, and something else, fear, carefully hidden but still there. She was risking much by coming to him. "Then we'll keep this between us," Ethan said quietly. "I'll help you." Her eyes studied him, and for the first time she gave a small, approving nod. "Good." Ethan continued scanning, moving carefully. He noted the scars of old battles, marks of resilience that no human body could endure. Yet the energy scars were different. They pulsed inside her, disrupting her strength. He needed to think of a way to help, but for now the most important thing was to learn exactly what was happening. "You said the weapon burns from within," Ethan said. "Do you feel pain now?" Lyra hesitated before answering. Yes, but pain is nothing new to me. It does not control me. Her words carried weight, but Ethan could see the truth in the way her shoulders stiffened, the way her breath hitched when the scanner passed near her chest. She was strong, but even the strongest had limits. He took a deep breath. I'll need more time to study these readings, but I think there's a chance we can treat this. Lyra's silver eyes fixed on him again. Do not give me false hope, human. I wouldn't, Ethan said firmly. If I say I can try, it means I believe there's a way. She considered his words, then slowly leaned back, allowing him to finish his work. For Ethan, the next half hour felt like walking a tightrope. Every move had to be careful, respectful. She was not just a patient, she was a commander, a warrior, and someone whose trust was a rare gift. Finally, Ethan set the scanner down. That's enough for today. I have what I need. Lyra stood tall and steady despite the pain he knew she felt. Then we are finished. She paused at the door, turning slightly. You will not speak of this to anyone. You have my word, Ethan said. She gave him one last long look, and then she was gone. Ethan sank into his chair, exhaling loudly. His hands were damp with sweat, his heart still racing. What had begun as an ordinary day had turned into something far more dangerous, far more important. He had seen a side of Commander Lyra no one else on the ship had seen. And now, her secret rested in his hands. As he looked at the glowing scans on the screen, Ethan realized something else. This was not just about treating an injury. This was about trust, about the fragile bond between two species still learning to work together, and he had been chosen to hold it. Ethan could not sleep that night. He lay on his bunk, staring at the ceiling, thinking of the strange request from Commander Lyra. His mind kept replaying the moment she had stepped into the medical bay, her voice steady and cold as she demanded that he examine her body. He had seen something inside her, something no one else on the ship knew about. Now it weighed heavily on him. The scans glowed in his thoughts, the strange energy spikes that looked so dangerous and so alien. When morning came, Ethan felt restless, but ready. He knew she would return. She had not asked him out of kindness. It was a command, and commanders always followed through. He cleaned the medical bay again, checked the scanners twice, and laid out the tools he might need. His heart still raced when he thought about her, but his hands were steady. He had to be steady. Lives could depend on it. The door slid open at the exact moment he expected. Lyra entered without her armor this time. She wore a plain uniform of her people, dark gray with sharp lines. It still looked like armor, even though it was not. She carried herself with the same strength, but Ethan noticed her steps were slower. That weakness, though hidden, was real. Medic, she said, her silver eyes meeting his. We begin again. Yes, Commander, Ethan said, forcing his voice to sound calm. She sat on the bed, her back straight, her hands resting on her knees. Ethan picked up the scanner and moved closer. He felt the weight of her gaze on him, but he kept his eyes on his work. I studied your scans, Ethan began. Your body shows deep energy scars. They are not like cuts or burns. They are inside you in your nerves, spreading every time you use your strength. Lyra tilted her head slightly. Can it be repaired? Ethan hesitated. It's not simple. Our human tools are not made for this. But I think I can adapt them. I can try to use nanotech with your own energy stabilizers. It might help. Her lips pressed into a thin line. You are unsure. I am, Ethan admitted. But I will not lie to you. If I say I can try, then I believe it has a chance. For a long moment, Lyra was silent. Then she gave a short nod. Do it, Ethan prepared the equipment. He brought out a tray of small devices. Human medical nanotech units that looked like silver dust inside clear capsules. Normally they were used to heal human tissues or repair veins. But he had an idea. If he could program them to follow the energy pulses inside her body, maybe they could stabilize them. He looked at her. This may hurt, she almost smiled. Pain does not rule me, human. Ethan placed the capsule into the injector. With a soft hiss, the nanotech entered her system. He picked up the scanner to watch as the particles traveled through her body. At first they moved smoothly, but then the screen lit up with violent spikes. The nanotech struggled against the wild energy. Lyra's jaw tightened. She did not cry out, but her body stiffened. Ethan saw her hands curl into fists, her breath growing heavy. Stay calm, Ethan said softly. It's working, but it's rough. She gave him a sharp look. Do not tell me to stay calm. But still she forced herself to breathe slowly. Minutes passed and the spikes began to level out. The nanotech found a rhythm, moving with the energy instead of against it. The scanner showed smoother lines, not perfect, but better. Ethan let out a small breath of relief. It's stabilizing. Not healed yet, but stable. Lyra relaxed slightly, though her face remained stern. You may be more useful than I thought, human. Ethan smiled faintly. I'll take that as a compliment. He adjusted the settings, programming the nanotech to continue their work. This will take time. Your body will fight the changes, but if we do this every day, it could repair the damage. She studied him. You risk much. If this fails, if I weaken, my enemies will see it. They will come for me. I know, Ethan said quietly. But if I do nothing, you'll only get worse. You trusted me with this, and I won't let you down. Her silver eyes held his for a long moment. Then she nodded again. Very well. We continue. For the next hour, Ethan monitored her condition. Lyra sat in silence, never showing more than the faintest sign of pain, though Ethan knew it was there. She was unlike any patient he had ever treated. Her strength was not just in her body, but in her will. Still, there was a flicker of something else in her eyes, something human-like. Fear, trust, vulnerability. Finally, the session ended. The scanner showed improved stability. Not perfect, but progress. Ethan removed the equipment and stepped back. That is enough for today, he said. Lyra stood slowly. Her movements were smoother than when she had entered. She noticed it too, and for the first time a true smile crossed her face, faint but real. You have done well, human. Ethan felt warmth at her words. Thank you, Commander. As she walked to the door, she stopped and turned. This remains secret. No one must know. You have my word, Ethan said again. She held his gaze. Good. You may not understand now, but this bond we share, it is dangerous. And yet it may be the key to survival. Then she left, the door sliding shut behind her. Ethan sat down, his heart pounding. He looked at the scanner readings again. Progress, yes, but also danger. If anyone discovered what he was doing, it could bring trouble for both of them. But as he thought of Lyra's faint smile, he knew he could not stop now. That night, as he lay in his bunk again, he thought not only of her strength, but also of her trust. Somewhere deep inside, he felt the start of something unexpected. Respect, connection, maybe even friendship, and he wondered what the days ahead would bring. The ship drifted through silent space, far from battle, but tension still hung heavy in the halls. Ethan worked late in the medical bay, preparing for the third session with Commander Lyra. He had spent hours reprogramming the nanotech, trying to make them respond better to her strange energy patterns. Every adjustment mattered. He knew if he failed, the hidden wounds in her body could destroy her from the inside. The door opened and Lyra entered. She was calmer than before, though her eyes still burned with determination. She wore only her uniform again, leaving her armor behind. It was a silent show of trust. She did not come as the untouchable warrior today. She came as a patient. You are ready, human? She asked. Ethan nodded. Yes, I made some changes. I think this time it will go smoother. She sat on the bed, straight as always. Then we begin. Ethan activated the scanner and moved it across her body. The screen lit up with her energy flows, brighter and sharper than any human body could produce. At first things looked stable, but then he noticed deep scars in the channels near her chest. They glowed like fire trapped beneath her skin. There it is, Ethan whispered. The source of the damage. Lyra's gaze did not move from him. Explain. It looks like when the weapon struck you, it didn't just burn the surface. It tore into your energy channels. That's why you feel pain when you use your strength. The flow is broken here. He pointed at the screen. Lyra's expression stayed firm, but her eyes narrowed slightly. And can you repair it? Ethan looked at the scanner, then at his tray of tools. I can try something new. The nanotech can bridge the broken channels, like building a bridge across a river. It will not heal you completely at once, but it can help your body repair itself over time. Lyra's lips tightened. Do it. Ethan loaded the new capsule into the injector. The small hiss filled the room as he released the nanotech into her bloodstream. He immediately checked the scanner. The particles moved quickly, glowing as they spread through her energy channels. At first they flowed smoothly, but then the screen shook with sudden violent surges. Lyra gasped, her body stiffening. For a moment, Ethan feared she might collapse. Stay with me, Commander, Ethan said firmly. He placed his hand gently on her arm. Breathe. Let it pass. Lyra's jaw clenched, her fist tightening. She closed her eyes, forcing her breath to slow. Sweat formed on her brow, but she did not cry out. The scanner showed the nanotech adjusting, learning. Slowly, the violent surges softened. The lines on the screen smoothed into steadier patterns. The broken channels began to connect, faint but visible. Ethan exhaled in relief. It's working. The bridges are forming. Lyra opened her eyes. Then continue. For nearly an hour, Ethan guided the process, adjusting settings as needed. The nanotech worked with her body instead of against it, creating small but vital repairs. When the process finally ended, the scanner showed new, stable pathways in her chest. Ethan smiled. This is progress. Real progress. You should feel the difference. Lyra slowly stood from the bed. She lifted her arm, then clenched her fist. For the first time, her movement was smooth, without the sharp stiffness he had seen before. A look of surprise crossed her face, quickly hidden beneath her usual control. You did it, she said quietly. Not finished yet, Ethan replied, but it's a step forward. Lyra studied him, her silver eyes unreadable. You risk much by doing this. If anyone discovers what you attempt, they will question you. They may question me, I know, Ethan said. But what choice do we have? You asked for my help and I gave you my word. That means something. Lyra tilted her head slightly, almost curious. Among my people, words mean little. Strength decides truth. Yet you speak as if promises are unbreakable. They are for me, Ethan said simply. If I say I'll help you, I'll do it. Even if it costs me. She was silent for a long time. Then she said, perhaps that is why your kind survives. Not through strength of body, but through strength of spirit. Ethan felt his chest tighten at her words. Was this the same commander who never showed weakness, who ruled with an iron will? She was changing before his eyes. Their silence was broken when the ship trembled. A low alarm rang through the halls. Ethan stiffened. What was that? Lyra's eyes flashed. An attack. The intercom buzzed with the captain's voice. Enemy ships approaching. All crew to stations. Lyra straightened, her body already moving toward the door. But she staggered slightly, the recent treatment leaving her unsteady. Ethan reached out. Commander, you're not ready. She cut him off with a glare. I am never unready. My people do not wait while others fight. Ethan frowned. Then at least let me give you a stabilizer. It will keep your strength steady for a few hours. Lyra hesitated, then nodded once. Ethan quickly injected the stabilizer and watched as her energy levels balanced out. She gave him a sharp nod of approval. Good. You have done your part. Now I do mine. With that, she left the bay, her steps strong once more. Ethan stood alone, his heart racing. He knew the battle outside was dangerous, but his thoughts stayed with Lyra. She carried wounds no one else knew about, and now she was heading into combat. He had given her strength, but was it enough? The ship shook again as weapons fired. Ethan grabbed the edge of the counter, steadying himself. He wanted to help, but all he could do was wait. Hours later, the alarm stopped. The captain's voice returned. Enemy ships destroyed. Stand down. Ethan rushed to prepare the bay. He knew she would return, whether victorious or wounded. When the door opened at last, Lyra entered, her uniform scorched, her face stern. She walked with the same pride, but her energy flickered faintly. Ethan hurried to her side. Commander, sit. Let me check you. Lyra sat without argument this time. Ethan scanned her quickly. The stabilizer had held, but the stress of battle had strained the new bridges he created. Still they held, barely. You fought hard, Ethan said. Too hard, Lyra smirked faintly. Victory demands no less. But it could have undone everything we worked on, Ethan warned. If you break the bridges now, it will be worse than before. She studied him, her eyes calm. And yet they held. Because of you, Ethan froze. The weight of her words sank into him. This warrior, this commander who showed no weakness, had just admitted that his work had saved her. Lyra stood slowly. Tomorrow we continue. These wounds will not define me. Ethan nodded. I'll be ready. As she left the bay, Ethan realized something had changed. Not only in her body, but between them. She no longer looked at him as just a human medic. She looked at him as someone who mattered, someone who stood beside her in silence even when no one else could. And for Ethan, that meant more than any battle won. The ship floated in quiet space after the battle, but the crew still carried the tension of war. Ethan worked in the medical bay again, preparing for Lyra's return. He had seen her fight through the pain, had seen her strength carry her beyond the limits of her wounded body, but he also saw the truth in the scans. She was holding herself together with willpower alone. Without his treatments, her strength would eventually fail. When the door opened, Lyra stepped in. Her uniform was torn at the shoulder, but her stride was steady. She did not wait for greetings. She went straight to the bed and sat down. "We continue now," Ethan nodded. "Yes, Commander." He picked up the scanner and began moving it across her chest and shoulders. The lines on the screen were uneven, flickering like fire struggling to stay alive. He frowned. "The stabilizer held during battle, but the strain was too much. The bridges I made are still here, but they are fragile." Lyra's silver eyes met his. "Then make them stronger." Ethan hesitated. "The process will be painful. More than before." "Pain is nothing," Lyra said calmly. "Do it." Ethan prepared the injector. This time he had designed a mix of nanotech and small energy nodes built from Arathi parts. He had asked for them under the excuse of studying alien medicine, and no one questioned him. He loaded the capsule into the injector, then glanced at her. "Ready?" She gave a short nod. The hiss filled the air as the nanotech entered her body. The scanner lit up with bright flashes as the particles moved into the damaged channels. Ethan watched closely, his fingers working on the controls. He adjusted the settings so the nanotech connected with the energy nodes, locking them into place. The bridges grew stronger. Lyra's body stiffened. Her fists clenched, her jaw set hard. Her breath came sharp and quick, but she made no sound. Ethan could see the strain in her face, the way her muscles tensed as the process burned through her nerves. "Stay with me," Ethan said softly. "Just a little longer." Lyra's eyes opened. They blazed with pain, but also with determination. "Do not tell me to endure, human." "I already endure." Ethan smiled faintly. "Then endure with me." Minutes passed like hours, but slowly the scanner showed the bridges locking in place. The energy scars dimmed, their wild surges calming into steady flows. For the first time, the broken lines connected fully. Ethan's heart lifted. It's working. Really working this time. Lyra's body relaxed slightly. Her breathing slowed. The tension in her face eased. When the process ended, she sat back, her chest rising and falling. "You have done more than I thought possible." Ethan wiped sweat from his brow. "It's still not perfect. You'll need more sessions, but this is progress." "Real progress." Lyra stood slowly. She rolled her shoulders, then clenched her fists. This time her movements were smooth, strong. A faint smile touched her lips. "For the first time in weeks, the pain does not control me." Ethan felt warmth at her words. "That's good to hear." Lyra studied him for a long moment. "You are unlike the others. My people value strength above all, but you show something different. You do not fight battles with weapons, yet you fight with your hands, your mind, and your will. And you do not falter." Ethan felt his chest tighten. "I just do what I can. I promise to help you, and I won't break that." Her eyes softened slightly. "Your promises are strange, human. They are not just words to you. They are shields stronger than armor." The room grew quiet. For the first time, there was no wall between them. Lyra was not just a commander, not just an alien warrior. She was someone who trusted him with her life. And Ethan realized he trusted her too. Suddenly, the intercom buzzed. The captain's voice filled the room. "Commander Lyra, report to the council chamber immediately. Human representatives demand your presence." Lyra's expression hardened. "They will ask about the battle, and they will look for weakness." She glanced at Ethan. "You will say nothing." "I won't," Ethan said. "But be careful. They don't know what you're carrying." Lyra gave a small nod. "And they will not know. Come." Ethan blinked. "You want me there?" "You are my medic," Lyra said simply. "And my medic walks with me." Together they left the bay and made their way to the chamber. Inside, human officers and Arathi leaders sat around a large table. The room was tense. The humans praised the victory, but the Arathi leaders pressed Lyra with questions. Was she still strong? Could she still lead? Lyra answered with calm strength. Her voice carried pride, her posture perfect. Ethan watched her closely. She hid her pain well. None of them saw the truth. Only he knew. At one point, an Arathi general sneered. "Your movements in battle seemed slower than before. Have you grown weak, Commander?" Lyra's eyes narrowed. "Weakness? I destroyed 3 enemy ships while you sat in safety. If that is weakness, then may we all be so weak." The room went silent. Even the humans looked impressed. The general said no more. When the council ended, Lyra walked out with Ethan at her side. In the quiet hallway, she exhaled softly. "They suspect, but they do not know." Ethan nodded. And they won't. As long as we keep working, you'll be stronger than ever. Lyra stopped and looked at him. For the first time, her hand rested lightly on his shoulder. You have given me more than healing, Ethan. You have given me something my people do not speak of. Trust. Ethan met her gaze. And you've given me the same. The moment lingered between them, quiet and strong. Then Lyra stepped back. Tomorrow we continue. We cannot stop now. Ethan smiled. I'll be ready. That night he lay in his bunk again, but this time he felt no restlessness. Instead, he felt purpose. He had seen the bond between them grow stronger with each session, with each test. It was more than medic and patient now. It was a partnership forged in pain and trust. And deep down, Ethan knew this bond would carry them both into whatever battles lay ahead. The following morning, Ethan arrived at the medical bay early, prepared for the final session with Commander Lyra. He had spent hours the night before reviewing scans, adjusting nanotech patterns and planning the most careful approach. Today's work would be critical. The bridges in her energy channels had strengthened, but they were not yet permanent. One final treatment could stabilize them fully. Lyra entered the bay, her posture strong as always, but Ethan noticed a subtle difference. Her movements were lighter, smoother. She no longer carried the stiffness of her hidden injuries. Her silver eyes met his, a faint glimmer of trust and acknowledgement shining within them. Ready, human? She asked. Yes, Commander, Ethan replied. She sat calmly, her hands resting on her knees. Ethan activated the scanner and carefully moved it over her chest, shoulders, and arms. The lines on the screen were steadier than ever, but faint traces of instability remained. The nanotech bridges had held during recent battles, but he needed to lock them in fully. This is the final step, Ethan explained. Once complete, your energy channels will remain stable. You will be able to fight and lead without risking collapse. Lyra gave a small nod. Then do it. He prepared the injector and loaded the specially programmed nanotech. These capsules contained a mixture of human and earthy components, designed to merge fully with her energy flows. The hiss of injection sounded, and Ethan monitored the scanner closely. At first, the nanotech struggled against the remnants of damage. The screen showed small surges and flashes of instability. Lyra's hands clenched, her muscles tense. Ethan kept his calm, adjusting the controls slowly, precisely. You will be all right, he said softly. Just let the process work. Lyra's silver eyes met his. I trust you, human. That simple sentence made Ethan pause. It carried weight he had never imagined. The great Commander Lyra, who had faced countless battles and enemies, was placing her trust fully in him. He focused harder, guiding the nanotech through the last remaining fractures. Minutes passed, each second heavy with tension. Slowly, the lines on the scanner smoothed completely. The bridges had held, and the energy flows were balanced. Ethan released a breath he hadn't realized he was holding. It's done! The channels are stable. Lyra slowly stood. She moved with ease, flexing her arms and shoulders. The stiffness, the hidden pain, it was gone. She looked at Ethan, her expression calm but filled with something new. Gratitude, respect, and perhaps something deeper. You have done more than heal my body, human, she said quietly. You have shown me that strength can be shared. That trust is not weakness, that even one from another species can carry honor. Ethan felt warmth in his chest. It was my duty, Commander, and my honor to help you. Lyra studied him for a long moment. You are not like the others. Most humans I have met rely on their own survival. You have put yourself in my path, risked much and remained steadfast. You are rare. Ethan shook his head. I am just doing my job. But I will not lie. It mattered to me that I could help you. A faint smile touched Lyra's lips. Then you have earned more than respect, Ethan. You have earned a place in my life. You carry trust few of my people ever will. Ethan felt a deep sense of pride and responsibility. The bond between them had grown from duty to trust, from trust to respect, and now to something almost unspoken but strong. He realized that his role had changed. He was no longer just a medic. He was a guardian of her secrets, her strength, and perhaps in some way her life. Lyra's silver eyes softened. There is one thing I must ask. Never reveal what has occurred here. The council, my people, the others, they must not know that I showed weakness. It is not weakness to you, human, but it is dangerous if seen by them. You have my word, Ethan said firmly. No one will ever know. Lyra gave a small nod of approval. Good, then our work is complete. For now, Ethan cleaned the equipment, but his mind lingered on the conversation. The commander had acknowledged him in a way he had never experienced before. Her trust was rare, precious, and carried a weight he could not ignore. Later, they walked through the corridors together. The crew gave the commander the respect she commanded, none suspecting the bond forming between her and the human medic. Ethan kept pace beside her, feeling both pride and a quiet sense of belonging. He had stood by her in ways no one else had, and she had allowed him to be there. They reached the observation deck. The stars stretched endlessly, a reminder of the vastness and danger of the galaxy. Lyra looked out, her silver eyes reflecting the lights of distant planets and warships. "You saved me, human," she said quietly. "Not just my body, but my ability to continue leading, to continue fighting. My people may never understand, but I do. And for that I am grateful." Ethan looked out alongside her. "It was not easy, but I would do it again if needed." Lyra's gaze shifted to him. "And perhaps I will allow it should the need arise. You have proven yourself worthy." Ethan felt a warmth in his chest. Words were not enough to express the depth of respect and admiration between them. But in that moment, standing on the deck of a starship in silent space, no words were needed. The commander turned back to the stars. "There are battles ahead, human. Many challenges, many dangers. But with trust and strength we will endure. You have shown me that even one from another world can make a difference. Perhaps we will face those challenges together." Ethan nodded. "Yes, Commander. Together." As the ship sailed silently onward, the bond between human and alien commander had been sealed. Through trust, through courage, through care, they had formed an alliance that would shape not only the lives of two individuals but the future of many worlds. And as the stars stretched endlessly ahead, both knew that whatever trials lay ahead, they would face them side by side, bound by respect, honor, and the quiet strength of trust.